The phone rang at exactly 9:17 a.m., and with just one sentence, my entire world stopped breathing. "Hello? Is this Daniel Harris?" "Yes," I said, still half asleep, coffee warming my hands. "This is Evergreen Funeral Home. We're so sorry for your loss. We're ready to discuss your mother." The mug slipped from my fingers and shattered on the kitchen floor. "My mother?" I whispered. "That's not possible." There was a pause on the other end, a professional pause, the kind people use when they believe denial is the first stage of grief. "Yes, sir," the woman continued gently. "Margaret Harris. She was brought in late last night." My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. "You must be mistaken," I said, my voice shaking now. "I spoke to my mother yesterday evening. She was alive. She was fine." Another pause, longer this time. "Sir, according to our records, your mother was pronounced deceased at 11:42 p.m. The room began to spin. I pressed my back against the kitchen counter to keep from falling. My mind raced through memories. My mom laughing on the phone, complaining about her neighbor's dog, reminding me not to forget my jacket because it was getting cold. Dead? "No," I said firmly. "My mother is alive. I understand this is very difficult, but we do need to discuss arrangements." That's when something inside me snapped. "I'm coming there, right now." Evergreen Funeral Home sat on the edge of town, a place I'd driven past 100 times but never imagined entering for my own mother. The drive felt unreal, traffic lights blurred together. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. This had to be a mix-up, a paperwork error, someone with the same name. It had to be. When I arrived, the building looked peaceful, white walls, trimmed hedges, a soft bell chiming as I pushed the door open. A woman in her late 40s greeted me with sad eyes and practiced sympathy. "Mr. Harris?" she asked. "Yes. I'm Linda. Please, come with me." The hallway smelled like flowers and disinfectant. Every step felt heavier than the last. She led me into a small office and closed the door. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she said again. I slammed my hands on the desk. "My mother is not dead." Linda flinched but kept her composure. "Sir," she said calmly, sliding a folder toward me, "this is the intake report. Your mother was brought in by emergency services. No identification on her, but her fingerprints matched hospital records." I stared at the folder but didn't open it. "My mother lives alone," I said slowly. "She calls me every night at 8. She called me last night." Linda frowned. "Last night?" "Yes, at 8:03 p.m. Her fingers tightened around her pen. "That's strange," she said quietly. "Strange?" I snapped. "You're telling me my mother died at 11:42 p.m., but she spoke to me 3 hours before that." Linda hesitated. "That can happen." "No," I said. "Something's wrong." She stood up. "Perhaps it would help if you saw her." My stomach dropped. "I don't want to." "I understand, but sometimes seeing brings closure." Closure. That word felt like a slap. She led me to a viewing room. The lights were dim. A single curtain separated me from what they believed was my mother. Linda placed her hand on the curtain. "Are you ready?" I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. She pulled it back. I stepped forward, and my heart shattered. The woman lying there looked exactly like my mother. Same silver hair, same small scar above her eyebrow when I was a kid and she tripped on the stairs. Same hands, folded neatly over her chest. I couldn't breathe. "Oh, God," I whispered. Tears blurred my vision. My knees buckled and I had to grip the edge of the table to stay upright. "I told you," Linda said softly behind me. But then something felt wrong. Very wrong. I leaned closer. My mother had a birthmark on her neck, a small, dark crescent she always joked looked like a moon. It wasn't there. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I reached out and gently turned her head. No birthmark. I stepped back, heart racing. "That's not my mother," I said slowly. "She looks like her, but she's not her." Linda's face drained of color. "That's impossible," she said. "The fingerprints—" "My mother has a birthmark," I interrupted. "Right here." I pointed to my own neck. "This woman doesn't." Silence filled the room. Linda swallowed hard. "I need to check something," she said. She hurried out, leaving me alone with the body. That's when I noticed something else. The woman's lips were slightly parted, and she was smiling. Not peacefully, not gently, but like she knew something I didn't. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A text message. "Mom, Daniel, if anyone says I'm dead, don't believe them." My blood ran cold. The text from my mother was still glowing on my phone, but my hands were shaking too much to respond. I bolted out of the funeral home without saying a word. The air outside felt cold, but at least it was real. I needed answers, and there was only one place I could go: my mother's house. Driving there, my mind replayed the horrifying scene over and over. The woman lying in that coffin was a perfect copy, a doppelganger. But why? How? And why was she smiling like she owned some secret I wasn't meant to know? I arrived at my mother's house. The front door was slightly ajar. That was strange. My mom never left the door unlocked. I stepped inside. The house smelled different, not the familiar scent of lavender and vanilla she always used, but something sharp, metallic, almost antiseptic. "Mom?" I called out. No response. I headed to the living room and froze. There, sitting in her favorite chair, was my mother, alive, smiling just like in the text. "Daniel," she said softly, "I'm glad you got my message." I rushed to her. "Mom, you're alive, but the funeral home, they said—" "I know," she interrupted, holding up a hand, "and that's why I needed you here." Her expression shifted. Something in her eyes, fear, urgency, a warning. "I don't have much time to explain. They're watching. They always watch." "Who? Mom, who's watching you? What's going on?" She shook her head. "Not now. Just promise me, don't go home the usual way tonight." I frowned. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, a sound echoed from the hallway. Faint, deliberate footsteps. Not human footsteps. They were slow, mechanical almost, like someone was dragging metal on the floor. I grabbed my mother's arm. "Mom, we have to leave, now." She nodded, and we slipped out the back door. The garden was dark, the trees casting long shadows. I glanced behind me, half expecting to see someone, but the street was empty. "Mom, who was that?" I asked, panic rising. She shook her head again. "Not them yet, but they know you're asking questions." We reached my car and jumped in. I started the engine, but my hands were trembling so badly I could barely steer. "Mom, tell me everything," I demanded. She took a deep breath. "Years ago, something followed me, something that can copy people. It wants me gone, Daniel, and now it's coming for you too." I laughed nervously. "What? Like some kind of ghost or monster?" She shook her head. "No, something worse. Something that can take anyone's place. Look around you. Everything seems normal, but nothing is normal anymore. People you trust, they could be them." Her words sent shivers down my spine. I thought back to the funeral home, the woman in the coffin. She wasn't dead, but she wasn't my mother either. And now my real mother was telling me that someone or something was capable of perfectly copying people and hiding in plain sight. I slammed my foot on the accelerator. "We need to get somewhere safe." She nodded. "There's only one place, my old friend Marcus. He knows about this, about them. We have to get to his cabin in the woods. It's hidden, protected. If we stay here, they'll find us." I swallowed hard. My head was spinning. I didn't even know what to believe anymore. A doppelganger? Someone copying my mother? And now we're running for our lives? The car drove through the dark, empty streets, the headlights cutting through the fog. Every shadow seemed to move on its own. "Daniel," she said suddenly, voice trembling, "promise me, whatever happens, don't trust anyone tonight, not even the people who seem familiar." Her words echoed in my mind as we sped down the deserted highway. The sense of being hunted was growing stronger with every passing second. And then, in the rearview mirror, I saw a shadow, a figure, standing by the side of the road, watching us. It looked just like my mother, and it was smiling. The shadow in the rearview mirror disappeared as quickly as it had appeared, but the chill it left behind stayed with me. My mother's warnings were no longer just words, they were reality. We drove in silence for what felt like hours. The fog thickened, wrapping the car in a ghostly shroud. I couldn't stop glancing at her. My mother, alive, real, and trembling with fear. Finally, she spoke. "Marcus's cabin isn't far, but we have to be careful. They can track us through anything. Lights, signals, even phones." I frowned. "They? Who exactly are they?" She didn't answer immediately. Her hands gripped the dashboard so tightly her knuckles turned white. "It's hard to explain. Think of it as shadows of people, copies that walk among us. They don't just mimic appearances, they can imitate behavior, memories, even emotions. If one of them replaces someone you love, you might never notice until it's too late." My stomach twisted. "You mean the woman at the funeral home? That was one of them?" She nodded. "Yes, and they're patient, calculating. They wanted you to see her, to scare you, to test you." The road narrowed as we turned into a dense forest. Trees arched overhead like skeletal hands. Darkness swallowed the car, and even the headlights seemed weak against it. "This cabin," I said cautiously, "is it really safe?" "My mother's friend Marcus has been fighting them for decades. He knows how to hide, how to protect people they target. If we can get there, maybe we can figure out how to stop them." A sudden crack of a branch made me jump. My mother's eyes darted to the window. "Stop the car," she whispered. I slammed the brakes. In the headlights, I saw movement. A figure stepped out from behind a tree. It was tall, silent, and familiar. My heart froze. The face beneath the hood looked exactly like mine. I turned to my mother. "Mom, that's me?" She shook her head violently. "No, that's not you, that's them." The figure didn't move, just stood there, watching. Its smile was cold, calculated, empty. "I told you they can imitate anyone," she said, "and that's why we can't trust anything, not even reflections." I swallowed hard and put the car in gear, speeding down the narrow forest path. The figure stayed in the shadows, but moved with us, perfectly keeping pace despite the uneven terrain. Finally, we reached a small clearing. Tucked away in the woods was an old cabin, half hidden by trees and vines. Smoke curled from the chimney, the only sign of life. My mother parked hastily and we ran inside. Marcus was waiting, a tall man with gray hair, piercing eyes, and a calm presence that seemed impossible in a world full of chaos. "Mom," Marcus said warmly, but his eyes scanned me. "Daniel, you came. Good." I collapsed into a chair, trying to catch my breath. "Mom, the shadow, the doppelgangers, I don't understand. How is this even possible?" Marcus leaned back, his expression grave. "It's been happening longer than you know. These beings, they've always existed in the shadows. They hunt families, replace loved ones, and they're growing bolder." My mother spoke softly. "I've been fighting them for years. I managed to stay ahead, but they learned, and now, Daniel, you're in danger too." A sudden noise outside made us all freeze. Scratches at the window. slow, deliberate, almost taunting. "They're here," Marcus said, his voice low, "and they won't stop until they get what they want." I looked at my mother. "Then what do we do?" She grabbed my hand tightly. "We prepare, we fight, and we survive, because once they succeed in replacing you, there's no coming back." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on me. Outside, the forest seemed alive, shadows moving in unnatural ways, waiting, watching. Marcus moved to a cabinet and pulled out several strange devices, gadgets I didn't recognize, small metal objects with blinking lights, and a few ancient-looking talismans. "These can hide your energy," he said. "They can confuse them, but it's only temporary. Once you're exposed, they'll know exactly where to find you." I nodded, my hands trembling. The real fight had just begun. The shadow outside the cabin moved again. This time, it wasn't alone. There were more of them, all standing in the dark, waiting.